Hello, everyone, and welcome to the closing ceremony of the Mock Education Minister Summit 2023, hosted by Mock COP. I am Sofia. I'm a campaign coordinator for Mock COP from Peru, and it is great to have you all delegates here in the room and anyone joining us on our YouTube live stream here for our final session of 2 brilliant days talking about quality climate education. Before we start, I would just need to remind you of a couple of bits of important information. A reminder that we have live interpretation on this call, and this session will be held in English. So if you need interpretation into Spanish or French, please follow up the guidelines on the screen. And please join an interpretation channel by clicking on the interpretation mode and choosing the language you would like to hear. For better sound quality, please mute the original audio. Speakers, please remember to speak slowly and clearly and avoid regional vocabulary, acronyms, and jargon where possible. And thank you to our team of volunteer interpreters supported by Common Languages. Please be patient and show compassion with them. We have a team available for technical support throughout the event, so please send a message via the chat box or the delegate WhatsApp group if you need assistance. Those providing support will have technical support in your Zoom name. Having said this, over the past 2 days, we've been joined by 227 youth delegates from 89 countries to learn, discuss, and negotiate on our youth vision for quality climate education. We've also had the privilege of being joined by leaders, activists, and organizations, lending us their experience and expertise to help us create an ambitious, well-informed, and first of its kind, unified youth statement on quality climate education. These last 2 days have been filled with so much knowledge from climate experts, activists, and the core of our summit, our delegates. Just sharing some reflections on this process, the Mock Education Minister Summit has definitely touched some very key and important points that were opinions from very diverse youth from the Global South and the Global North, talking about how we can include intersectionality within the topics of quality climate education and how we can talk about the different quality climate education that has to be implemented within our diverse context. It's been a very fruitful past 2 days in the breakout rooms, learning from the regional groups of delegates. Personally, I had the privilege to work with the Latin American region and just getting to hear the opinions about how we can include ancestral knowledge and different kind of adequate context to the quality climate education has been a real privilege. And I'm sure that from the Mock COP team, we are very, very proud of the work put by our delegates and proud of the outcome of the Unified Youth Statement. For this closing ceremony, we are privileged to be joined by 2 amazing keynote speakers. First, we have Xiye Bastida, who is a Mexican climate justice activist and co-founder of Re-Earth Initiative, and by Honorable Azeri Radrodro, Minister of Education in Fiji. First, I would like to welcome our first keynote speaker, Xiye Bastida, to give some insightful words to close our Mock Education Minister Summit.
Hello, everyone. It is such an honor to be here today. I am actually with Sofia right now, which is why we are joining from the same place, and hearing her words, her work, and being able to learn all about it through you has been one of the most empowering things I've seen regarding education. How to think of the education
We'll just wait a minute or two. Hopefully the video will unfreeze, the internet connection resumes. Thanks for your patience, everyone.
Apologies for that. Our Wi-Fi is a bit spotty. I was mentioning that I am part of the Otomi Toltec indigenous community, which means that I bring a lot of principles of indigenous cosmovision, including reciprocity, respect for Mother Earth. And this morning, my father led a ceremony asking us to reflect on every breath that we've taken since we came to this world, every meal that we've eaten, every drink that we've had. And just from that, I can feel how much we have to give back, just from how much Mother Earth nurtures us every single day. So today I am going to tell you a little bit of my insights on climate education, because in the wider space, it is a topic that is not prioritized as much as it should, even though it, as you know, impacts every single sense of how youth approach the world. And I was fortunate enough to receive a type of climate education through my parents. When I organized the first climate strike in New York City, which brought out 300,000 people to the streets, my school did a 2-day climate education session where every single teacher was required to teach a class that would bring their topic of teaching with a climate education topic. And it was the only time education was ever brought into my school as a transversal topic. Education on climate cannot be sporadic. It cannot be a one-time event that happened 4 years ago. It has to be an ongoing exercise of transforming discourse. As most of you know, education has a heavy discourse that comes with it. Discourse is never unbiased, which means that everything that we are taught comes with heavy influences towards what the world should look like. If we don't implement a discourse of truth, of regeneration, of solutions, we are failing to meet the urgency of the climate crisis. A few months ago, I met the Environment Minister of Mexico, former Environment Minister of Mexico, Julia Carabias. We were walking through my town where we have a lot of factories and that contaminate our river. And she said, this is illegal. We have the measures in Mexico to actually protect rivers from pollution from factories, but people don't know that. People don't know that we can actually sue these companies for the damage that they've caused. And that turned something in my brain of how we have created so many frameworks to hold companies accountable, to hold our governments accountable, but we have not inherited that knowledge. I don't know how many people have said this in these 2 days, but knowledge is power. And education is the way of distributing that power, of empowering us to change the world, empowering us to be the change agents and the architects of the future. I once spent a month in Chile. I'm half Chilean. And I went to a school where we actually went to gather our food for lunch. We went to cut down wood for firewood. We spent time learning about the immediate ecosystem. And for me, that extended the topic that education is not only about the practical things that we need to learn to change the way that systems work, but it's actually about changing culture, changing the culture of how we see our relationship with Mother Earth, changing the culture of how we approach our lives and our purpose here. Today, my dad told me, humanity is here only for a little while. Let's make that little while worth it. And I am so happy to see that all of you are doing that with your commitment to education, with your commitment to changing paradigms. We have to be advocates in the professional sense in our community. We will actually be the ministers of education of the future. All of us will be in those positions where we can change things. So our message to all of the ministers of today is that they need to step up, because we will come to show what we want the world to look like. So for outcomes, I've been reading the draft of the statement that you have all produced, and I am so incredibly impressed by the intersectionality approach that you have taken, by calling the fact that we need to implement culture, by calling out the fact that we need to really put this in a systemic way in all of our governments. And so our question is, when will the day come where every single country in the world has compulsory climate education? My hope is that it is in the next 3 to 5 years that we all have access to the education that we need to be prepared for this world, prepared for solutions, prepared to be architects of the future. With that, I will close by saying that you all inspire me. We are creating things, our generation is creating things that have never been created before. We have more knowledge than has ever been accumulated before, and we are unlocking so much potential. Thank you so much for your commitment, your presence, and I look forward to keeping being part of this fight with you.
Thank you so much, Shia, for those very, very insightful words.
Sophia, sorry, just to interject. Unfortunately, the last speaker isn't able to join us. We've just had word that, some extenuating circumstances has come up, which is really unfortunate. But if you want to run through like the next steps and how we're going to go forward and raise ambition for climate education, and then maybe we'll end just a little bit early. Thanks for that.
Thank you for the notice. Okay, yes. So this will bring us to the end of our Mock Education Minister Summit, 2 days of negotiation, panels, and networking from our youth delegates around the world. And we are so excited to share our final unified youth statement with you all tomorrow. Remember that the voting procedures are still open. Thank you so much to all the delegates for your hard work on this, from your country statements to your discussions throughout this weekend. To your commitment and waking up early, to all those that were in different time zones. Thank you so much to all of you for debating, for your insights in the negotiations. And our statement encompasses the first ever youth definition of quality climate education, a checklist to measure it, and clear asks for our ministers and politicians ahead of international spaces such as COP28 this year. But the work doesn't stop here. We'll continue to support you to engage on the national level with your education ministers to secure commitments to quality climate education in the run-up to and at COP28. And together, we will raise ambition for quality climate education. Over the next few months, you now focus on getting your education ministers to make bold commitments for quality climate education, and the Mock COP team will be there to support you all the way. Delegates, your next capacity building session will be on the 30th of August, where you will learn about policy negotiation and the integration of climate change in the education curriculum, and it will be delivered by UNICEF. And you will learn how to strategically plan to negotiate with politicians in your country. Then in our final session in September, we will discuss our advocacy plan ahead of COP28 and support delegates in a final push to get commitments from their political leaders. Please keep an eye on your WhatsApp, Slack, and emails, and do reach out to any of the campaign coordinators if you need any support. And finally, before we close this amazing event, the Mock COP team would like to say a few thank yous. Firstly, a huge thank you to all the following organizations for shaping the event, fitting into and supporting its development, sitting in our advisory board, running capacity building sessions for delegates, and speaking throughout the weekend. To the COP28 presidency, UNESCO, UNICEF, UNEP, to Youngo, Global Students Forum, Care About Climate, SOS International, to the Federation of Environmental Education, Education International, MECCE, Global Education Partnership, Rethinking Economics, to the British Council and the UK Department for Education. We are very grateful to be able to collaborate with all these brilliant organizations and really appreciate you leading us, lending us your time and expertise. We look forward to collaborating further in the run-up to COP28. And a specific thank you to all of our speakers and panelists who have helped shape our negotiations and discussions on climate education, sharing their insights and stories through a series of brilliant sessions. Thank you to everyone that has joined on the YouTube live stream throughout the event. It's been great to have you on board, and we hope that you've been inspired to take action for quality climate education. Thank you so much to my fellow MOCCUP campaign coordinators and to SOS UK staff for all their hard work in putting this event together. And finally, a very, very special thanks to our wonderful youth delegates who have shown commitment, passion, and work hard to create the country statements, attended our capacity building sessions and workshops, and have led insightful negotiations to shape our unified youth statement on quality climate education. The MOCC-EMS wouldn't be possible without you. And throughout these days, we've seen how very important topics are being included: the intersectionality of quality climate education, the ancestral knowledge, how it's important to go beyond the current climate education materials that might even be fossil fuel centered and divest from it. We've been discussing very important topics, such as how important it is to talk about the climate crisis, not only as a scientific aspect, but also as a human rights and justice issue. And these kind of topics and insights and opinions from youth delegates from the Global South and Global North around the world have been included in our unified youth statement. And the first of its kind, we are very proud to have this. And for one final time, please don't forget to share your thoughts and experiences at the MOCC Education Minister Summit on social media, tagging MOCCUP on Twitter and Instagram, and use the hashtags #MOCC-EMS and #ClimateEducation. And with that, we have reached the end of the MOCC Education Minister Summit. Thank you so much.